Question number 5B. The following is the balance sheet of MS Krishna Brothers as at 31st March 2021. They share profits and losses equally. So in the balance sheet, on the liability side, we have the capital of Amit, Lalit and Sumit, general reserve, trade payables. On the asset side, I am having machinery, furniture and fixture is given separately. Okay, cash, inventory, trade receivables, less provision for doubtful debts, and the total of the balance sheet is coming up to 99,300. And then they go ahead to say Sumit died on 1st April 2021 and the following agreement was to be put into effect. Assets were to be revalued. The following amounts are given to you. Goodwill of the firm was valued at 18,000 rupees and was to be credited with his share without using goodwill account. Okay. Rupees 6,000 is to be paid to the executors of the debt partner. After death of Sumit, Amit and Lalit share profits equally. You are required to prepare journal entries for goodwill adjustment, revaluation account, and capital accounts of the partners. Okay. Now, previously also they were sharing profits and losses equally. Okay, whenever any question is given to you for partnership accounts, I have told you that you need to think about a certain few adjustments. What are those adjustments? Let it be any question, let it be admission, let it be retirement, let it be death. In this particular case there is death, but what are the adjustments that we are supposed to think about? These are those adjustments. You're supposed to think about your new profit sharing ratio, which will be calculated. You are always supposed to calculate sacrifice ratio or gain ratio, even if they do not ask you in the question. Why do you need the sacrifice ratio, gain ratio? To do your goodwill adjustment. You will be having revaluation of assets and liabilities. Like I said, your goodwill adjustment, goodwill could be the different scenarios given to you. Goodwill brought in cash, goodwill of the firm given to you, goodwill should be valued, goodwill of the partner given to you, etc. Whatever the case is given, you will be following whatever the information is given to you. And then distribution of reserves. These adjustments have to be automatically coming into mind when you have a question of partnership. Also, if the question demands, you will have treatment of joint life policy and share of profit up to date of death if they have died in between the financial year. In this particular question, the death is on 1st April itself, so there is no any share of profit up to date of death. Okay, now those adjustments are there in my mind. Similar things they've given here. Chalo, let us see. The first one, they say give journal entry for goodwill adjustment. For goodwill adjustment, what do I need? I need sacrifice ratio, gain ratio. How do I calculate? My old ratio was equal 1:1:1. My new ratio is again equal 1:1. So if I calculate my sacrifice ratio, what do I get, sir? Sacrifice ratio is equal to, under sacrifice, which is more, old or new? Under sacrifice, old is going to be more. So old share minus new share. So here we have working note number 1, statement showing required adjustment for goodwill. You have Mr. Amit and Mr. Lalit, and there is a gain or sacrifice. I used to do Amit, Lalit, Sumit. Here they have done in the column wise, but it is the same thing. Your new share, your old share, and you're going to compare both. So I can say that Amit and Lalit have gained 1/6, 1/6, and Sumit has sacrificed 1/3. What is our journal entry for goodwill adjustment? Our journal entry for goodwill adjustment is gaining partner to sacrificing partner. So who are the gaining partners here? Amit and Lalit. Who is the sacrificing partner? Sumit. So I will say A, L to S. Now this journal entry will be in which ratio? It will be in the sacrifice ratio. And what would be the amount, sir? Will I adjust the full goodwill? No. They say goodwill of the firm is valued, or goodwill was valued at 18,000. When they have said valued at, it means goodwill of the firm is 18,000 rupees. Will I do the adjustment for 18,000 rupees? No. Sumit is dying, so I will do only Sumit's share, which is 1/3. What is my journal entry for goodwill adjustment? I will record Amit capital account debtor, Lalit capital account debtor to Sumit capital account 18,000 into 1/3, going in the ratio of 1:1. Simple, sir. Gaining partner account debtor to sacrificing partner account. Okay, sir. Next, they ask us to prepare revaluation account and capital accounts of the partners. For preparing revaluation account, I need to look into point number 1. Chalo, let us look into revaluation account. Now, what is the given value? Here you can see on the screen the given value and the revalued amounts. Machinery is to be revalued at 35,100. The given value of machinery is 30,000. So can I say machinery is increasing? Yes, sir. What about furniture, sir? The given value of furniture is 16,800 and you have to record at 13,800. So value of furniture is decreasing. Fixtures 12,600 as it is. Inventory 4,500. Inventory given value 5,700. So inventory also decreasing. There are two assets which are reducing. There is one asset which is increasing. How do I prepare my revaluation account? Machinery account will be debited, revaluation account will be credited. So in my revaluation account, I record by machinery 5,100, which is nothing but 35,100 minus 30,000, the given value in the balance sheet minus the revalued amount. Furniture decreasing. So to furniture, I will record 3,000 rupees. To inventory, I will record 1,200. And then the balancing figure is going to go between whom? Old partners. In which ratio? In old profit sharing ratio. Here your balancing figure is 900, which will go between all the three partners as 300 rupees each. Simple revaluation account. Let us go to prepare the partners capital account. So like I said, in the partners capital account, what are the adjustments to be thought about? You will think about these things. Your revaluation profits have to be distributed, your goodwill adjustment has to be done, and your reserves has to be distributed, if any existing in the balance sheet. Okay, sir. But before all this, how do you start preparing your partners capital account? Do not forget, you are going to start with giving your opening balances of the partners. 24,600, 24,600 and 27,000 will first be given as your opening balance in your partners capital account. In the partners capital account, I am first recording the opening balance 24,600, 24,600 and 27,000 for A, L and S, Amit, Lalit and Sumit. Next, I record my revaluation profit, sir, 300 rupees, 300 rupees, 300 rupees as per the revaluation account prepared. Next, I do my goodwill adjustment, sir. According to the goodwill adjustment, what is happening? Amit and Lalit will be debited with 3,000 rupees. So on the debit side, I fill for Amit and Lalit 3,000 rupees and Sumit's account will be credited. Therefore, I credit Sumit's account with 6,000 rupees. Now, sir, I have done the revaluation. I have done the revaluation of assets, distributed the profits. I've done the goodwill adjustment. What else am I supposed to do, sir? I'm supposed to see the balance sheet. Is there any existing reserve? Yes, sir. 9,000 is there. To whom is this 9,000 going to go? It is going to go to old partners in your old profit sharing ratio. 9,000 rupees divided by three partners, 3,000 rupees each. And then, sir, coming to the adjustments, point number 1 dealt with, point number 2 dealt with, point number 3, rupees 6,000 is paid to the executors of the debt partner. So if I'm paying to the executors, cash account will be credited. Therefore, I record to cash account 6,000 rupees in Sumit's account because Sumit is the partner who deceased or who died. So it will go under Sumit's column. Please remember the column in which you are recording. And then the balancing figure for Mr. Amit and Lalit will be balance carried down. And for Mr. Sumit, it will be taken as executor's account because you are transferring the amount to his executor. Executor is nothing but his legal heir. Under retirement, we transfer it to the retiring partner's loan account. But here the deceased partner is no more there. So you transfer it to his executor's account. Balancing figure. Simple question, sir. Nothing too complicated. Coming to the last question, question number 6. Deepak Chemical Limited invited applications for 10 lakh shares of rupees 100 each payable as follows. So this is a question on issue of shares, one of my favorite chapters in the exam, very scoring if you understand the concepts well. So 100 rupees is the face value of the share and it is payable as follows. On application 10 rupees, on allotment 30, on first call 30, on final call 30. The date of allotment, first call and final call has been given to you. So the issue price is coming up to 100 rupees itself. So it is a issue at par. There is no discount or premium involved. All the shares were applied for and allotted. A shareholder holding 15,000 shares paid the whole amount due along with allotment. There is one shareholder who has paid the entire money at the allotment stage itself. So he is paying calls in advance. You are required to prepare the journal entries for the above mentioned transactions, assuming all sums due were received. Interest was paid to the shareholder concerned on 1st March 2021. So there is the shareholder who is paying calls in advance. You have paid interest to the shareholder. Simple question. Let us step into the journal entries. Few points to be noted, like I always do. Face value of the share, rupees 100. Issue price of the share, rupees 100. So there is no discount or premium. Please note, shares cannot be issued at a discount except if they are sweat equity shares or right shares. And Shares can be issued at a premium as well, but in this particular case, as the issue price is equal to the face value, there is no any discount or premium. Let us go ahead to record the journal entries. The first entry in the application stage is you are going to receive the application. So how many shares? There are 10 lakh shares which have been issued. So I'm going to receive 10 lakh applications. And what is the amount per share? 10 rupees. So what will I record? Bank account data, 2 share application account, 10 lakh shares into 10 rupees each. Because rupees is in lakhs, I'm recording only 100. It's 100 lakhs, but because I've said rupees in lakhs, I'm recording only 100. 10 lakh shares into 10 rupees each. Now, once you receive the application money and when you want to allot the shares, what do? We transfer the application money to the share capital and then we call for allotment money due. So there are two entries. One is share application will be transferred to share capital. And then the second entry is share allotment money due will be debited and share capital will be credited. So these two entries have been combined to you and given over here where they say share application and allotment account data. It should have said share application account data 100 rupees. Share application account data 100 lakhs. Share allotment, again, it is 10 lakh shares into 30 rupees each, giving a value of 300. Okay, and then to share capital, the total credit of 400. They've combined two entries together and given a compound entry. You could give two separate individual entries as well. Share application to share capital 100, share allotment to share capital 300. Two individual entries could be given or this entry could be given combined together. Next, what is going to happen? Share application money received, share application money transferred, allotment money due recorded. Next, I'm going to receive allotment money. What is the journal entry for receiving allotment money? Bank account data to share allotment account. But here, along with allotment money, I'm also receiving in advance your first call money and final call money. How much is that? It is 30 rupees per share for 15,000 shares. So I go ahead to record bank account data, which is nothing but 10 lakh shares into 30 rupees each plus 15,000 shares into 60 rupees each divided by 1 lakh, because we are recording rupees in lakhs. So that is 9 lakhs. 15,000 into 60 rupees comes up to 9 lakhs. So you record 300 plus 9. 300 rupees goes as a credit to share allotment account and 9 rupees is credited in your calls in advance account. Calls in advance is credited because it is an amount received in advance. It is a liability. Next, going ahead, I have received the allotment money. The next entry going to be recorded is for my share first call money due. So share first call account data to share capital account. Again, 10 lakh shares into 30 rupees each. And I record 300 rupees as my amount in the journal entry. Because it is in lakhs, I'm just recording 300. And then when I'm going to receive, will I receive for all 10 lakh shares? No, out of the 10 lakh shares, 15,000 shares or one shareholder holding 15,000 shares have already been paid. So now I'm going to receive for 9.85 lakh shares into 30 rupees each. And then 0.15, that is 15,000 shares into 30 rupees each, I take out from my calls in advance and transfer to share first call account, because now it is no more an amount received in advance. The amount for first call has been called and it has been received from the other shareholders. So you are removing that from your advance. Your advance had been previously credited. Now you are debiting calls in advance to the extent of first call money. Please note, this is not 60 rupees. This is only 30 rupees. This we are reversing only to the extent of 30 rupees, only to the extent of first call. Next, what do? I go to call my final call money, share final call account data to share capital, 10 lakh shares into 30 rupees each. And then again, I'm not going to receive for the entire 10 lakh shares. I'm going to receive for 9.85 lakh, 9.85, 9,85,000 shares into 30 rupees each. And then from my calls in advance, I'm going to transfer for the 15,000 shares into 30 rupees each. Okay, and then what is happening? I need to pay interest to the person who has paid calls in advance. How much has he paid? He has paid 9 lakh. But for what is the time period that I'm going to pay interest for? The amount has been paid on 1st June. Your first call money is on 1st November and your final call money is on 1st March. Okay, so now can I say for the first call, I'm going to pay money from interest from 1st June to 1st November. And for the final call, I'm going to pay interest from 1st June to 9th November. Sorry, 1st June to 1st March. So I think that is coming up to 9 months if I'm not wrong, and 5 months. Yes, let us step into the calculations. Here we have 4,50,000, the amount of first call, at 12% per annum. Sir, where do we get this 12% per annum, sir? It is not being stated in the question. So we take the rate as per table F. Table F of the Companies Act gives the maximum rate of interest allowed for calls in advance at 12% and calls in arrears at 10%. So I'm taking 12% because it is calls in advance. So 4,50,000 into 12%, 4.5 lakhs into 12 by 100 into 5 by 12 for the first call. For the second call, it is again 4.5 lakhs into 12 by 100 into 9 by 12, which is giving me an amount of 22,500 and 40,500, total interest being 63,000. Now, please note that we were recording journal entries in terms of lakhs. So 63,000 is equal to 0.63 lakhs. The journal entry being interest on calls in advance account debtor to shareholder account for amount due. And then when you make the payment, shareholder account debtor to bank account, the amount as per the working note. I hope this entry is clear. Now, sir, journal entries for issue of shares, forfeiture of shares, issue of debentures, reissue of shares, all this journal entry wise, it becomes very easy. But what you need to understand is your calculation of the amounts. I hope all the calculations are clear. Let us step into question 6B. TimTim Limited issued 10,008% debentures of nominal value 10 lakh as follows. To sundry persons for cash at 90% of the nominal value rupees 5 lakh. To a vendor for purchase of fixed assets worth rupees 2 lakh, rupees 2,50,000 nominal value. To a banker as a collateral security for a loan of rupees 2 lakh, nominal value rupees 2,50,000. So what have they done? 10 lakh worth of debentures have been issued as 5 lakh to sundry public, 2.5 lakh in exchange of a fixed asset, and 2.5 lakh as a collateral for a loan taken. Let us go ahead to record the journal entries. Now, the first one, we are issuing at 90% of the nominal value. So how much will I receive? Will I receive 5 lakh? No, I will receive 5 lakh into 90%, which is 4,50,000. What is the remaining 50,000? Issue of debentures at a discount. I told you shares cannot be issued at a discount, but debentures can be issued at discount. Chalo, let us record the journal entry. I will say bank account debtor to debenture application account, which is nothing but 5 lakh into 90%, or it could be calculated as 5,000 debentures at rupees 90 each. Okay, 4,50,000 is received, and then when I transfer this debenture application to debentures account or to 8% debentures account, I am supposed to credit 8% debentures with 5 lakh. Therefore, the differencing amount will be recorded as a discount, which will be debited discount on issue of debentures 50,000 rupees, which is nothing but 10% of the issue. Okay, sir. Next, this is the A category where I issued 5 lakh debentures to sundry public. Next, B category, I'm purchasing a fixed asset. So first I record the journal entry to purchase a fixed asset account debtor to vendor account. Instead of using vendor, you could also use creditor or the name of the vendor if given to you, 2 lakh rupees. Now I am giving debentures worth rupees 2,50,000 to this vendor. So vendor account will be debited with 2 lakh. 8% debentures will be credited with 2,50,000. Again, the balance or the difference of 50,000 is nothing but a discount on issue of debentures. Okay, sir. The last category, the third category of debentures which are issued as a loan, I'm first recording the journal entry for the loan taken, bank account debtor to bank loan account, 2 lakh being a loan taken of rupees 2 lakh and issuing debentures as a collateral security. See the note. Now, when I issue debentures as a collateral security, there are two methods of accounting. The first method, which is always preferred, they say no entry is made in the books of accounts at the time of making issue of debentures as a collateral security. In the notes to accounts of the balance sheet, the fact that these debentures are being issued as a collateral security is shown under the liability. So we are not going to record the debentures. Why? Because they are not actual debentures. They're given only as a collateral security. If the company does not pay the loan, then these big debentures become actual debentures. So what do? We only state in the notes to accounts under the loan that debentures are given as a collateral security. This is the method of accounting preferred. Your second method of accounting is debenture suspense account debtor to 8% debentures account, but we always prefer this as a method of answering. In case they ask you what are the two methods, you will give both your methods. In case they do not specify anything, please write down this note that we will be mentioning the issue of debentures as a collateral security under the notes to accounts. Coming to the last question, question number 6C, theory question. State the causes for differences between the balance shown as per passbook and cash book. What are the causes for differences? Okay, which subsidiary books are normally used in the business? Both very simple questions. Let us look into the suggested answers. The difference between balance shown by the passbook and cash book may arise on account of the following. You could give them that it is arising due to timing differences, transaction differences, and differences due to errors. And then what are the examples? Checks issued not presented for payment, checks deposited not cleared by the bank, interest allowed by the bank not recorded in cash book, interest and expenses charged by the bank, interest and dividends collected by the bank, direct payments by the bank, direct deposits by a customer, dishonor of a bill discounted with the bank not recorded in cash book, bills collected on behalf of the customer, error committed by the bank, etc. So a lot of transactions could be given, over debit, under debit, any examples you could give. And then the last one, what are the subsidiary books used in a business? We discussed this in one of the questions earlier. So we have cash book, which records all your receipts and payments of cash and bank. We have purchase book, which records credit purchase of goods only. We have purchase returns book, which records goods which have been returned to the suppliers. We have sales book, which records credit sales. The word credit is missing, but it records credit sales of goods dealt by the firm. Sales returns books records returns made by the customers. Okay, we have bills receivable book, bills payable book. Bills receivable book is what? Recorded the bills given to us by various parties. Bills payable book is what? Given to other parties accepted by us. And then we have journal proper, which records all the other transactions which does not come in any of the bills or in any of the books recorded above. Simple question. So with this, we complete our entire discussion on the suggested answers to the mock test paper. I hope you have used this discussion well and you have evaluated your answer script based on whatever discussion we have had. Your exams are less than 2 months away. Stay home, stay safe, keep studying. All the best.